Voyager's last signal, the silent reply intro. Far beyond the last breath of the Sun's magnetic shield, Voyager 2 drifts through a space no human hand will ever touch. It is alone, ancient and nearly forgotten, an artifact of the 1970s, still whispering across the void. But then something changed. What it just transmitted wasn't another weak burst of plasma data or background radiation. It was an image. A final image. And what it showed was not random starlight, not dust or static, but something precise. Geometric. Ordered. A structure so deliberate it sent shockwaves through the hidden halls of science. Was this a cosmic accident? Or had Voyager crossed into a region where space itself behaves differently? Or worse, had it been found? What appeared in those frames was no coincidence. It looked like a signal. A warning written in mathematics. A reply carved into the fabric of the void. If you thought the universe was silent, think again. The message when Voyager 2 launched in 1977, it carried more than cameras and sensors. It carried a gift, the golden record. A disc of copper, plated in gold, etched with greetings in 55 languages, with music from every continent, with the sounds of earth, waves, birdsong, thunder, and a heartbeat. It was humanity's bottle cast into a cosmic ocean, meant for whoever, or whatever, might one day find it. That was the message. Or so we believed. But decades later, as Voyager's power faded and its cameras should have been blind, it sent something back that should have been impossible. A reply. The reply of the image revealed a lattice. Symmetrical. Layered. Too perfect to be nature. And when scanned with next-generation quantum AI, hidden patterns emerged, prime numbers, Fibonacci spirals, ratios that matched the very same mathematical language engraved onto Voyager's golden record. It was not just similarity. It was reflection. As if something had not only received our message, but understood it, and was sending it back, encoded in a geometry only advanced analysis could reveal. And more disturbing still, the structure was not fixed in the distance. It remained in relative position to Voyager. As if it was orbiting it. Watching it. An unsettling truth. NASA dismissed the idea of sensor error. The anomaly appeared across multiple instruments, at different wavelengths, across separate intervals of time. The readings were consistent. But the behavior was not. When Voyager scanned it more actively, the structure shifted. Slightly. Subtly. As though aware it was being observed. This was not dust. Not plasma. Not chance. It was responsive. Physicists struggled to explain it. Some proposed that Voyager had crossed into an unstable border region beyond the heliopause, where space and time might twist into forms we cannot model. A kind of cosmic twilight zone. But others whispered something stranger. What if Voyager had not seen an object at all? What if it had encountered the shadow of something higher dimensional? A projection from beyond our reality, intersecting with ours just enough to be seen. Not an object. A presence. Transmission patterns. When the data was fed back through quantum AI, another layer appeared. Buried within the anomaly's fluctuations were repeating sequences, prime numbers, spirals, golden ratios. The very building blocks of universal mathematics. But here was the twist. The sequences weren't just universal. They were familiar. They mirrored Earth's own attempt at communication, the same logic, the same patterns, the same Rosetta Stone of math we engraved on the golden record. It was as if something out there had not only heard us, but waited. Waited until we had the tools to see its reply. Voyager's final message. Invitation or reflection? The silent drifter somewhere beyond the protective bubble of our solar system, Voyager 2 drifts alone. A machine older than most people alive today. Built with less computing power than a modern wristwatch, yet it has traveled farther than any other human creation. For decades, it has crossed the uncharted frontier, leaving behind the sun, the planets, and the familiar warmth of home. Now, it moves silently through interstellar night, a place where even starlight grows faint. It was supposed to send back whispers of plasma, temperature, and the slow rhythm of the void. Nothing more. But then, something changed. The pulse. Voyager's ancient magnetic sensors, instruments never meant to survive this long, suddenly began registering anomalies. At first, they looked like faint background ripples. The kind of static engineers usually dismiss. But as the data streamed in, a pattern emerged. Not random. Not chaotic. A rhythm. Precise. Regular. Deliberate. The pulses repeated with eerie consistency. A beat like a beacon. A heartbeat echoing through the emptiness. And then the deeper analysis came. The timing of these pulses followed a Fibonacci sequence. The same mathematical spiral carved into galaxies, seashells, hurricanes, and the same sequence we etched onto the golden record as a universal key to knowledge. Coincidence? Or answer? Invitation or reflection? Some scientists dared to whisper the impossible. Perhaps it was an invitation. A signal crafted to be recognized, telling us, "We are here. We hear you. Come closer." But others weren't so optimistic. What if this wasn't a message at all? What if it was a mirror? A system that doesn't initiate contact but responds when watched. A mechanism woven into the fabric of space itself, waiting silently until our machines crossed a threshold and forced it to reveal its face. If that's true, Voyager didn't just stumble onto an object, it triggered something. Not a greeting. Not a welcome. But a test. The impossible image, the pulses, weren't the only anomaly. In its final transmissions, Voyager captured something even stranger, a faint image. At first, engineers dismissed it as noise. But when quantum pattern AI processed the frames, a structure began to emerge. Not dust. Not plasma. Not a star. A lattice. Precise. Geometric. Symmetrical. Something that should not exist in the chaos of interstellar space. A formation so deliberate that it carried prime number spacings and golden ratio alignments within its very design. And the most unsettling detail of all? It didn't drift away. It stayed fixed in position, holding itself relative to Voyager as if watching. The reply NASA teams scrambled to rule out hardware failure. But the anomaly appeared across multiple instruments, on different wavelengths, at different times. It wasn't noise. It was real. The structure seemed to respond. Slight shifts occurred when Voyager's sensors scanned it more aggressively. As if the act of observation itself triggered a reaction. Quantum mechanics teaches us that observation changes reality, but only at the smallest scales. Subatomic particles, not kilometer-wide structures in the void. And yet here it was, behaving as if aware of the probe. Alive? Artificial? Both? The possibility hung in the air like static. Voyager had not just observed the unknown, it had been observed in return. The scientific divide within days, leaked emails revealed the tension behind closed doors. Some researchers argued the structure could be an exotic plasma effect, or gravitational lensing distorting light into strange geometry. But others, those working in quantum field theory and higher dimensional models, were unconvinced. They proposed something far stranger: that Voyager had crossed into a controlled region of space. A place where information itself is shaped and encoded. Not a natural phenomenon. Not random physics. But design. To some, the image resembled a glyph, a symbol written not in ink but in magnetic fields and geometry. And then the unthinkable question spread quietly through private meetings. What if this was more than a reply? What if it was an invitation? Or a reflection? But as deeper analysis unfolded, a darker theory began to take hold. What if Voyager hadn't found something out there at all? What if it had triggered a reflection, space itself bending like a mirror the instant we looked too closely? Not an object. Not a signal. But a system designed to reveal itself only when observed. As though some intelligence had built a surveillance field across the stars, silent, invisible, until one of our machines finally tripped the boundary. Not to attack. Not to greet. Simply, to be seen. And now we had seen it. The revelation